So, Alexander, I'd love to, if you don't mind, giving us a little bit of context in terms of what your relationship might be to the region, how much time you spent with this particular town, but then also what brought you to the area.
Originally, I'm from Novosibirsk. It's in western Siberia. It's more several kilometers to the west. And when I started this project, it took me several years to formulate what kind of film I wanted to do, and I started to write it in the 2017. And in 19 and 20, there was the scouting session when I go to the place where the wildfires was. Sorry, my English is not very proper. So, yeah, the project it's changed a lot during this this long period of preparation. There was lots of unknown element because it's unpredictable and we don't know what's going to happen when and how. So it was kind of two parallel works to understand how it's working with the wildfires and how I could tell the story.
I'm going to stop you there. We'll go back to where you are, but I'm wondering about what it's like to work on a script of a sort before filming like this. What had you conceived of what the film might be back in 2017?
It was very different. The first draft, it was very different. It was more international, in a different part of the world. And after that, I decided to stick with the Siberia, the place I know, and also which is very rich, in the territory, the culture, and the events, and I don't know. It's pretty quickly I understood that I don't want to. I want to talk about the people who live this kind of experience. Forcing the wildfires in the place, in a remote place when there is not much help. As I understood pretty fast, that it's not well organized, so the people have to do it by themselves. And in 20, I discovered this fairy tale about the wind, and I was thinking about the child imaginary world which could be present in the film and could give the spirit of the film. So it was local people fighting with a dragon and with this kind of kids magical touch in it. And I came in Yakutia for the first time. It's a pretty remote region. It's huge, but I had never been there before. And I saw these people, they're so brave and funny and courageous and very active and engaged actually to defend their land and their home, and completely abandoned also. And yeah, when I saw it, I knew this will be the place I want to make the film. And the next year, unfortunately, there was again the same situation repeated with the huge wildfires, and so it was last year, and we developed already kind of method how to find the larger place which is struck by the drought and the heat. It's always it's moving a little bit every year, and after that to zoom in this region and to find the place which I think could be the good place to tell this story. So it was a lot about the place itself and not the biggest fire. So the local journalist told me about Shologon. It was the smallest village in the area, and it's a dead-end road, so there's no passers-by. And they told me that there's lots of elderly people and lots of kids. It's kind of very contrasted population and two opposite generation, and I found it pretty cool. And that's why it's a little bit futuristic and in the same time very ancient and traditional.
Yeah. How did they respond to you and the idea that you might be spending this time there and making this film about what they were dealing with?
They are very good hosts actually. So when we came and we just came, hello, my name is Alexander and I'm doing the film about wildfires and looks like you're in deep shit. So I say, yeah, you're right. So come on. And actually we slept in the same dome, you know. It was a luxury room because we got our own small room. That was an empty office. We put off the table and put on the mattresses. And yeah, it's. After that, I knew that Vasya, the young guy with the hat, he told me that they was a little bit annoyed, about the situation, angry, and they didn't want no people watching them. And but it's like the fairy tale because I said like, yeah, do you know the fairy tale about the wind and the big mountain? No, we don't know this one. So I started to tell them this story, and I think they liked it, and so they made the theater piece of it. And yeah, and after that we have started to work to meet people and following the things going on. So.
To what I mean, it's so it works so successfully as cinema and as scene building, and I'm wondering to what degree that's all in the edit, and to what degree is how much that's the edit and how much that is you working with them to create some of these scenes. I don't mean to act, but I think in terms of them knowing what the purpose of a particular shoot might be.
There were, I think, different situations. It depends on the different situations, because there was a situation we could not control or predict, so it was like kind of hit and run. But we was talking a lot before that with Paul, and the main goal was to see what is going on, what the situation is, and do kind of editing in the head, and to cut it, to be able to make cinema and not kind of reportage or something like that. Mm-hmm. So we was talking a lot before with DOP Paul, who is absolutely great. You saw it, and. There were some situations, kind of, if it was about meeting, we knew that there will be meeting, for example, and so we could put the camera just and film it. And they were very open, and it was very important to discuss with the people also. I saw that it works much better if they know why we're filming them. So they was much more relaxed, and wasn't like surveillance camera all the time here. So it was always about discussion why we want to film people eating, because it's pretty embarrassing for them. So they were shy, and it's helped a lot. So it wasn't kind of preparation, but say okay, I would like to film that because it could take this part of the film and tell this. More they knew, better it was. But also I insisted that they all speak Russian in different degrees, of course, but we could communicate it, but I insisted that it should be in Yakutian language, their local language that they use to communicate between them. So I insisted to continue doing this, so they knew that I don't understand what's happening, so they just lived their lives, and I think it's helped also to put the real life on, not to act to do something or explain something for the camera.
I've heard that before. You wouldn't necessarily assume that unless you're doing the work yourself, like as you have, that in some ways not understanding the language is a benefit,
Yeah.
because in some ways they let go a little bit more easily.
Yeah. I think for it, to capture the real life, it could really help. Sometimes it's not because when we was passing through the fire in the car, I didn't knew that they were talking about this, but I didn't understand it. And they asked, well, we should go to find the other team, and then I said, we should go with you, and you should not go with us. He said, yeah, sure, I should take. And so we were in the middle of the fire. I said, whoa. So maybe it was better to didn't know, so there was no hesitating to do this.
Your DOP, the cinematographer, is normally a narrative cinematographer, right? Doesn't do documentaries quite as much, or does both?
No, he do both.
He does both.
Yeah.
I was wondering, it's quite a thing to sign up for this type of shoot, though. This is quite a challenging. So I'm wondering about the technical, what was required of all of you technically to pull off, and particularly the shoots near the fire and also through the smoke.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know if he had lots of experience in this kind, when you have to react really fast, but he's very good technically, he's high-level DOP, so he was like stuck, and he already got the perfect frame in 2 seconds. The idea was also to do the cinema, so we thanks for the producers and the partners and the Arte and all this, because we could have real good gear, real cinematic gear, the good camera assistant who helped us to deal with that. And
Did you have an idea of what you wanted it to look like? I'm curious about what you were finding and reacting to, but then also what your idea was, how you wanted this to look.
I insisted a lot that I don't want to the easiest way is to film the big fire and so impressive and all this stuff, and I was pretty obsessed with the smoke, actually, as you saw also. And I'm thinking that to not see what is hidden behind, it's much more impressive, and it was one of the main points, I guess, about the fire, at least. And also it was about the contrasted framing, very close-ups and very light scales images. And they always say, like, little people, huge nature, little people, huge nature. So it was, with the DOP, he was like searching for the perfect, the millimeters of the optics to create, to transmit this this impression.
And there's also a lot of low light as well as a lot of quite, bright, fiery light. So
it's a lot about the contrast.
Yeah.
Like this one, and I'm pretty obsessed with the shadows and the mystery part of the of the film. I know maybe old school, but
yeah. It's interesting to hear you refer to the dragon. And did you talk about the dragon too, in terms of there being this almost monster movie, horror movie element of this sort of powerful force being a character?
No, yeah, I was sure that fire, it was one of the main characters, of course. And when I started to speak with the people, not only the local ones, but even the Greenpeace people who working with the wildfires, they always talk about it as a living being. So like, fire wakes up, fire fled, fire sleeps. You need to feed the fire. Feed the fire is more local, this pagan stuff. And the ones I heard that somebody called dragon because it's the same name, so I said, wow, okay, it will be the dragon, and it gave me kind of direction to follow, of course.
I'm curious about what the sort of effects are on a town like this. We hear about the other town that sort of, half the houses were burned down and such, and I'm curious, obviously there's no help in fighting these fires from the government. Is there any help in recovery? I'm just curious about what happens to these towns afterwards.
The the next village that was burned. There is some little help, you know. It's we couldn't say that's not help at all, but it's not enough, you know. We could not say that it's like if you, I don't know, somebody killed you and government give you a stick, you know, so you can defend yourself, you know, in the place to call the cops or something like this. So it's not a good help, but. Actually, after for this village, they make lots of propaganda noise that we help people, we like send money and you know, show it that how everybody is so happy after that because we offered him a fridge, I don't know, or brand new houses that they're shitty houses, but it looks new, so it's nice. So it's lots of media working on it and all this stuff, and officially they're helped, but they lost everything, the memories, the photos, and I don't know, something you cannot really recover. But I think it's kind of the strategy. It's cheaper to pay several persons than to organize the huge work how to prevent it. So it's hypocritical, but that's what they often do, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I mean, these are such small, struggling towns as it is. I just wonder if they even can recover, or if the towns themselves vanish because of something like this. I think you wanted some questions from the audience. So do you want,
if
there are any? See, I think they were. Here we go, right here.
Well, great film actually. I liked it a lot. Did the people of the village see the movie, and what did they think of it?
We're asking the people if they saw the film and what they thought of it. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, we sent them the film the day of the world premiere, so they could distantly share it with us, you know. I think actually they are the best spectators for the film because they know everybody on the film, and they was very excited to see it. And I received the messages after that that the person who saw it already twice or 3 times, and the people who don't live in Shologon now, but who living in Europe. And one guy like, the little boy with the dog. It's like me when I was a kid. I think actually you also asked how we were welcomed or not when we were doing the film. The people were very glad that somebody interested for their life and for their situation and talk about it. So for them, I think it's the most important. It's best viewers, I guess. So it's my wife, when I was lots of hesitation, this film, should I do, should I not, it was a good idea. She always said to me, think about the people of Shologon and how important it's for them. And it's what supported me a lot.
Ready?
Thank you.
A question about the first scene with the car spinning out in the ice.
Actually, it's a smoke jumper guy with his girlfriend who's doing this when there is no fire. So, and I think for me, it's like how we destruct our planet with no doubts and with a huge love, you know, doing this. And it's like no doubt situation. And in the beginning it's also said that the film is not what you expect and it will be something different. I guess this is it. No, actually I spent a lot of time editing the film, so I think I told me the most of the stories possible, much more than everybody else, and for me it was also a perfect apocalypse scene, you know, and what I would like to do when apocalypse come, you know. So.
I mean, I think we talked about this during the film was your attraction to this sort of there being a sense of humor and levity in this community, that it's not just this incredible force and tragedy on their way to them, but at the same time, even in the midst of the worst of it, there's a sense of humor.
Yeah, it's incredible. I don't know. Maybe it's the people that forged for the generation with a protein diet and a hard climate. You know, it's and maybe it's the Asian way to not show your weakness and your fear. You should, you know, stay strong even in the face of the dragon. And yeah, I was very impressed. And actually, sometimes it's you know, you watching the film, you ask yourself, maybe there is no danger because they're so joking, but they were.
Yeah, how confident were you that you were safe when you were on those the missions there?
Well, I don't know. I was saying myself, if they are here, so we should stay also. If they are running, we should run. So this was a kind of technique.
Yeah, smart technique. Anybody else? Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, it was a lovely film, very good, and it does indeed show the apocalypse. This in Russia it's at the latitude of the coniferous forests. From higher up there is the tundra and the permafrost, which is now also melting and causing this environmental disaster. Would you consider making a film about that subject as your next film?
There's a suggestion about the next
Okay.
film that he might want to make.
I'm open for the suggestion, actually. For me, actually, it's already the film about the part of all this situation, and the permafrost. It's in this area also. It's maybe they got a little bit more distance, so the trees could got their roots. But yeah, it's pretty scary, scary situation for first of all, I guess, for all of us, because tundra and maybe the trees, they will survive, they will find the way, but could we still do our drift with the cars? I don't know.
I think we are out of time.
Out of time?
Yes.
It's been so fast, actually.
I know, it went very fast. But it's fantastic to be able to talk to you and to show this film and to have you all stay with us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.